Labor on a ranch is a touchy subject. Everyone knows that good help is extremely hard to find. Everyone knows good wages have climbed, and everyone knows that you cannot run an operation, cow calf, stalker, seed stock, whatever, without people. But here's the tension most ranchers feel and almost nobody wants to say out loud. You know what labor is worth, and you also know what you can realistically afford, and those numbers don't always match. So today we are tackling that head on. The real economics of ranch labor, the hidden costs nobody talks about, and how to make labor decisions that actually fit your operation instead of sinking it. Before we jump into this episode, this is a labor discussion about current labor conditions in the United States, not for foreign work labor restrictions that we are seeing in agriculture. That is a whole nother topic in and of itself that could be an episode all by itself. So I just want to make that caveat that today's labor discussion is about current work labor in the United States, not foreign work restrictions and visas and all of those other things that we could unpack in a completely different one. So let's dive in. Most ranchers are running with one of three problems. One, underpaid labor that's doing the work of three people. I think we've all been there. Number two, family labor that actually isn't priced into your operation at all, even if you're not paying your family. And number three, hiring decisions based on emotion, not economics. Here's what's real here. Skilled ranch labor, someone who can doctor, feed, fix, manage, ride, operate equipment, and not burn your operation down, is worth about $45,000 to $65,000 per year plus housing in most states. But most ranches don't have the cash flow to support that. So you get in this really weird pressure cooker. Expectations of a $60,000 employee on a $36,000 budget, and resentment builds on both sides. Not because ranchers are stingy, not because workers don't want to work, but because margins are thin and the economics rarely pencil out cleanly. When you hire a full-time hand at $40,000, that's not the actual cost. Your real labor cost includes wages, payroll tax, workers' comp, housing and utilities, beef or fuel allowance, equipment use, horse feed if that's part of the deal, time spent training, and time spent fixing mistakes. By the time you add it all up, your $40,000 employee costs you easily $55,000 to $62,000 a year. And here's the kicker. If your ranch isn't generating that in net revenue, not gross, you're not hiring an employee, you're subsidizing one. Good ranch help is worth a lot. And the ones who are worth the money, they know that they're worth it. These are people who can pull a calf and actually save it, weld the water gap that keeps on breaking, manage 500 plus pairs without burning out, sort, doctor, read cattle, and just generally think ahead, show up early and sober, work without someone breathing down their neck. These people are rare, and they should be paid well. The problem is most ranches aren't structured to actually afford them long term. So the labor crisis in ranching isn't a people problem, it's a math problem. If you can't afford what labor is worth, you've got three paths. Option one, increase capacity without increasing labor. This is where technology and infrastructure actually pay. Things like automatic waterers, remote water monitors, better handling facilities, feed systems that cut labor hours in half, and better pasture design. Anything that reduces repetitive tasks saves thousands of dollars in labor costs over time. Most ranches don't have a labor problem, they have a system problem. Option two, outsource jobs instead of hiring full-time. Paying a contractor $50 an hour for fencing a few days a month is actually cheaper than paying an employee $55,000 a year to do everything else poorly. Outsourcing the things that don't require full-time hands like fencing, welding, trucking, or spraying. Now you've got option three. Redesign your ranch around what you can actually personally manage. This is one very hard pill to swallow. But if your labor budget is breaking your operation, the operation needs to shrink, simplify, or restructure. You can't run a 400 cow outfit on a 150 cow budget. The math simply won't let you. Now, let's talk about family labor, because family labor is the biggest invisible cost in ranching, and it hides the true economics. If mom is feeding cows every morning and dad is fixing waters and the kids are sorting pears every weekend, that labor still has value. You're just not writing a check for it. For ranches that want to scale, transition, or bring the next generation in, you have to start pricing your labor, even if no dollars actually change hands. Because until you do, you'll never know what your operation actually costs to run, or whether hiring that outside help is even feasible for your operation. Here is the bottom line. You pay people based on two things: their skill level and the revenue your ranch can realistically generate. If a hand is worth $55,000, but your ranch can only support $38,000, you can't pay them $55,000 just because they're great. You will bankrupt yourself. And if you can only afford $38,000, you're not going to get a $55,000 employee. It's not personal. It's not disrespect. It is simple economics. The right hire is the one whose value matches what your operation can support, not what the industry says, not what your neighbor pays, what your math says. You can't always compete on salary, but you can compete on some other things. Things like culture, housing quality, which that could be a whole podcast in and of itself, of ranches having good housing quality and not putting their people up in glorified shacks. You've got flexibility, predictable hours, treating people like humans. You've got providing training or certifications, and you've got giving responsibility instead of micromanagement within operations as well. Good people will work for less money if they are treated well, respected, and given a good living environment. Bad people will cost you triple no matter what you pay them. So here's the truth about ranch labor. Everyone wants to pay fairly. Everyone wants quality help. But the economics on most operations are tighter than people want to admit. You bridge that gap with systems, with efficiency, with clarity, and with honesty about what you can actually afford. Because at the end of the day, paying someone what they're worth only works if your ranch can survive paying it. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Cattle USA Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Moylan. Thanks for listening to another episode, and we will see you all next time.